We've learned about the importance of the ocean and its ecosystems in providing the services and benefits upon which human life depends, and the huge potential it holds for economic growth, particularly for island nations within the OECS. However, this promise of continued growth and expanding benefits is accompanied by mounting threats to our ocean environment. In this module, we consider some of the most significant of these threats in the OECS region and the risks they pose to the ocean and livelihoods across the Caribbean. When people think of the Caribbean, it's the crystal clear ocean, clean sandy white beaches and coral reefs teeming with fish and turtles that come to mind. A staggering 14% of the world's coral reefs can be found here, thanks to the unique location and character of the waters. However, marine pollution is now ubiquitous in Caribbean waters and a serious threat to a blue economy. This pollution, which includes marine litter, plastics, sewage, oil and chemicals, impacts the value of the goods and services provided by the oceans, including the quality of fisheries and the pristine marine environment highly valued by the tourism sector. Tackling marine pollution is an environmental, economic and social priority. Solid waste and wastewater are the most pervasive sources of marine pollution in the region and are increasing as populations, coastal cities and tourism continue to grow. This makes its way to the sea via direct or indirect sources such as rivers, outfalls, waterways, agricultural runoff and infrastructure. Around 85% of wastewater in the Caribbean goes untreated into the ocean, at least partly due to a lack of treatment facilities on land. Sewage and wastewater can cause serious damage to coral reefs because it stimulates the growth of aquatic plants and algae which threaten marine life. Contamination can also lead to the transmission of infectious diseases to people swimming in the sea or eating seafood. Cruise shipping also produces a large amount of waste, some of which is discharged into the sea. Some cruise ships are addressing this using advanced sewage systems, shipboard recycling programs, and increased use of biodegradable alternatives to plastic. Marine litter, including plastic, is accumulating in the Caribbean Sea, both from countries in the region as well as being carried on ocean currents. Coastal tourism and commercial fishing industries generate approximately 20% of the plastics found in the marine environment. There are as many as 200,000 pieces of plastic per square kilometre in the northeastern Caribbean, including single-use plastic, carrier bags and plastic bottles. In a litter survey done on 6 kilometres of coast in St Kitts, over 1,000 plastic items per kilometre were recovered. As they take a long time to degrade, around 450 years for a plastic bottle, the rate of accumulation presents a severe risk to marine life. It damages habitats, can be ingested by animals such as marine mammals, birds and sea turtles, and can entangle wildlife.
I mean, if you come on the beach just for a picnic and stuff like that, make sure you put away all your stuff. Basically, the simple stuff like plastic bottles and bags and paper plates and this sort of stuff, because those stuff can get easily blown into the water and you don't know what harm you could do. For people on the boats, be careful what you throw in the water. You never know how harmful it could be for the reef or for the fish life.
There is global attention on the marine litter issue, including as Target 14.1 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and more action is needed to stem the flow of plastics into the ocean, including new policies, better waste management coverage and services, behaviour changes by consumers and industry, and investment, innovation and private sector interventions. Antigua and Barbuda, the BVI, Dominica, Grenada, St Lucia and St Vincent and the Grenadines have all banned plastic bags and styrofoam to support the efforts to reduce marine litter. Climate change is a significant risk to SIDS and the OECS region, with impacts already being felt and predicted to increase. Warming of the ocean is leading to lower levels of oxygen in seawater and increasing acidity, ocean acidification, which affects the growth of shellfish and plankton, with effects higher up the food chain on higher predators, including the abundance of fish species.
Currently, the challenge that we are facing now is the climate change. We have been seeing a number of changes in the type of species of fish that are being landed, and also in the season. We have recognized that there are some seasonal changes in the time of the year when certain species of fish are being caught.
Higher temperatures also cause coral bleaching, and coral growth may have already dropped by 15% in the Caribbean compared to pre-industrial values. Loss of coral reefs and the ecosystem they support impacts tourism revenues, food security and shoreline protection. Climate change is also contributing to extreme weather events, with hurricanes and storm surges becoming more frequent and intense, particularly in tropical regions. Rising sea levels also threaten coastal ecosystems and human livelihoods in coastal communities throughout the OECS. Climate change is a global problem, to which SIDS are a small contributor but are at higher risk. Continuing global effort is needed to address global warming at a large scale, but Caribbean nations also play their part. This includes becoming more self-reliant, decarbonising key sectors including tourism, and reducing the other impacts such as pollution, which increase the vulnerability of ecosystems. Adaptation to the changes which are occurring and predicted is a priority for countries across the OECS, and adaptation measures must be considered alongside the ambitions of socio-economic growth through the blue economy. In SIDS, as in the rest of the world, many fish stocks are overfished, and legal and illegal harvesting are not well controlled. In 2017, the Western Central Atlantic Fisheries Commission estimated that 54% of species in the Caribbean region were considered overfished. Poor fishing practices and the degradation of coral reefs across the Caribbean are pushing many marine species, including food sources such as grouper, towards extinction. This puts at risk the economic activity and livelihoods of the many fishermen, families and nations which rely on these living resources. Addressing overfishing and developing sustainable coastal fisheries is a global priority and target 14.4 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Improvements in the monitoring and enforcement of fishing activity, the use of fishing gear which is more selective, and a focus on better science to understand the behaviour of fish populations are key in addressing this threat. Other initiatives such as co-management are being developed, where government and fishery stakeholders share responsibility for management of a fishery or area. We'll come back to the idea of co-management when we look at the management of marine activities in Module 9. Tourism and the demand for infrastructure and services has led to dramatic increases in construction activities around the coast of many countries of the OECS. Tourism accounts for more than 70% of total services exports in Grenada and over 80% in St. Lucia. This is leading to the reshaping of coastlines and the loss of crucial ecosystems such as wetlands and mangrove forests, which, as we learned in Module 2, provide important habitat as breeding and nursery grounds for fish, shrimp, prawns, crabs and shellfish. Loss of shoreline material and stabilising vegetation such as trees can accelerate coastal erosion and reduce the natural protection from extreme weather events and sea level rise. This is challenging to manage, as often activities on land are managed as if they are separate from the marine environment. Integrated approaches are necessary, including understanding islands and their marine areas as one system, a ridge-to-reef approach. Invasive species are those which are brought to the area and which would not normally occur there. These can be transported by attaching to marine litter in the wastewater of ships or due to the changing climate and ecosystem conditions. Some alien species cause problems since they can outcompete or damage the natural habitats and species which live in the region. These pose a severe threat to the rich biodiversity of the Caribbean and our diverse ecosystems of global ecological and economic importance. One of the most notorious invasive fish species in the region is the lionfish. These are efficient carnivores that feed on a wide variety of smaller fishes, shrimps and crabs, outcompeting native species, including those of commercial importance. Its venomous spines are also a serious threat to human health. In Dominica and St. Lucia, fisheries authorities have been working with local fishermen, the tourism industry and local restaurants to look at ways of eliminating lionfish from the reefs and have come up with one particularly innovative solution: putting them onto people's plates.
Also, we've had an invasion of the lionfish, which has been, in some sense, reaping havoc on some areas. So part of our management plan for that is that we have regular culling activities, regular hunting, and we have done a number of sensitization programs. We have taught the fishermen in some areas how to go after the lionfish, how to clean it safely, because it gives a really nasty prick if it pricks you. And we have also taught them how to cook it.
The OECS region clearly faces a number of concerning threats. They're particularly concerning when we consider that each of them are affecting the same habitats and species at the same time, and the interaction between these stressors increases the overall vulnerability of ecosystems and communities. For example, extreme weather caused by climate change, which damages wastewater treatment infrastructure, warmer seas supporting greater numbers and densities of invasive species, and the loss of coral reefs to bleaching events reducing the health of the ecosystem and increasing vulnerability to marine pollution. The UN Agenda for 2030 sets a strong policy framework, and within this, the development of regional and national policy, complemented by integrated marine spatial planning and better management of marine activities. All of this together aims to address some of these challenges in a more integrated way. The UN SDG framework is being delivered in the OECS through the Eastern Caribbean Regional Ocean Policy and National Ocean Policy Frameworks, which are discussed more in Module 7. In this module, we looked at threats to the health of marine ecosystems and the communities which depend on the sea. Marine pollution, climate change, overfishing, tourism, construction, and invasive alien species are all of concern. In Module 5, we explore how the ocean and its ecosystems also underpin human health, wealth, culture, identity, and happiness.